Welcome, everybody, and thank you so much for coming. I'm going to pin the video on me so that's good for the recording. And it's been a wonderful process writing this book, and I want to thank really my students who encouraged me, especially Joanne McKay encouraged me, and Shannon Iben really encouraged me a lot, and Tamara, you encouraged me, so thank you. And I also want to thank Debbie Harris, who helped me put this book together, really, and did a lot of the editing and stuff like that. So thank you, Debbie Harris. She's my admin assistant. So when you reach out at the end to purchase a hard copy book, you can get it from her. And but we'll explain all that at the end. And I also want to thank Mary McDonald Klimek, who also went through the book with me and really helped me understand where things were a little bit fuzzy, but also where things were maybe a little bit wrong in my thinking. So she helped me with that, which was really great. So so I learned a lot actually from writing this book. So thank you to all of those people. So the idea for this book came from my students, and it came from a lot of the quotes over the years that I've said to my students, and they're like, "Oh, you should write these down and put them in a book." And so then when I actually started writing the book, it turned into a lot more than that. It turned into actually me explaining a lot of my exercises and stuff like that. So it became a much bigger thing. So that was really great. So that being said, I wrote this book to my students. And so I want to make that clear, who include a lot of voice teachers actually as well. But so it's kind of a book for beginners, but also intermediate people. But it's also for everybody who can wanting to find some exercises and some new exercises, and the ones that I've kind of really go to on a daily basis with my students. So I'm going to stop the share, and I'm going to just read a little bit from the no, the pin is on me. Okay, good. Read a little bit from the intro, and so just bear with me for a sec. Okay, so here we go. Singing wasn't always easy for me. My path to learning to sing was full of frustration and confusion. So I want to share with you my story. I grew up singing in a youth choir at my local Anglican church in Lloydminster under director Eileen Yaxley. And she tells the story that I couldn't match pitch at first. And so she put me beside a strong singer. And by the end of the year, I was singing. And she loves to embarrass me with that story all of the time. So uh, this this is not most singers' beginning story. Most singers just do it. They can't remember a time when they weren't singing. The only technical thing that I remember Miss Yaxley taught us back then was to sing out our blowhole on the top of our heads just like a whale. It's a lovely image and a fun one to give kids, and I can see my little self imagining a blowhole and trying with all my might to sing out of it. Today I understand that she was trying to get us to sing with what Joe Estel would call head and neck anchor. More on that later. One thing about this story that is different from others is I was never told to just mouth the words to be quiet or to be quiet. It's sad that a lot of people are scared of singing by a choir director or even family members that told them in essence that they couldn't sing. I've taught a few people who had this as their story, and it's always lovely to help them find their voice. It usually involves some crying. So that's the beginning of the book. And I'm going to share again a little bit, and we're going to go through our, there we go, just some of the chapters that I put into the book. So here we go. So I started off after the introduction, which goes into a lot more of my story. I did a chapter on having a positive mindset. And then I did a chapter on thoughts and myths that are limiting. And then I went into part two, which is all technique. So there's a big long chapter exploring breath, support, and other mysteries. So it's a lot about some breath awareness exercises as well in there. And then a chapter on posture and alignment, which has some more awareness. There's a lot of awareness exercises built into the book. Then one on thin, mix, or what I was taught, cover. Chapter 6 is on head and neck anchor, bunch, bite, and spread. And then I have a chapter 7. I've got a whole bunch of exercises on the tongue and discovering the tongue. And chapter 8, to belt or not to belt. From there, so that kind of covers the technique part of the book, and we're going to do some exercises based on that part of the book. And then, so actually, why don't we jump into those right now, and then I'll come back to the finesse part, and we'll talk about that a little bit as well. And then there's practical matters. So how to practice dealing with nerves and performing. What should I do with my hands? Just some kind of basic stuff for my students to read and start thinking about. And then I have a whole part on vocal health. I'm sick, now what? Common questions. And then I have a whole bunch of sore throat and cold remedies to help people get through their colds faster. And just some final thoughts at the end. So, with that being said, let's dive into some of the exercises that these are basically my favorite exercises to do with my students. And so the first one is called the checking action of the chest. And this is one that I kind of developed from Alexander technique and some work I did with Gabby Gillis-Brent, Gabby, out in Vancouver. And so what it is and basically also from speech pathology textbooks. So in speech pathology textbooks, they talk about this checking action of the chest and so when we inhale, that is the active part of breathing in. And when we exhale, that's the passive part of breathing. But when we go to speak, our body actually naturally checks. The chest checks itself or goes into a suspension. And so what I want you to do is put one hand on your chest and the other hand on your belly, nice and low, below your belly button. And what I want you to do is we're going to count out loud together to 8 first. And I just want you to be aware. Actually, let's just breathe in and out first. So we're going to inhale and then release and let everything drop. Good. And that's that passive part. Now we're going to count. So we're going to inhale, take a nice gentle breath, and we'll count to 8. Ready? Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4, counting out loud. 5, 6, 7, 8. And as you're counting out loud, you'll feel that your chest checks itself. It doesn't let go of all the air. So this time, we're going to do it one more time. We'll count to 10, and we'll put, we're not going to let this hand drop as we count. And what you're going to feel, hopefully, is that this hand is going to slowly start to go in. So this time, let's count to 10. Ready? Nice, gentle, easy breath. Breathe in. 1, Counting out two, counting out loud, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10. Good. Excellent. Let's try one more time and let's go to 12 this time. Ready? Inhale. Oh, does somebody have a question?
So to just make sure I'm doing it right, I'm exhaling as we speak, counting to 10.
But we're kind of holding in between. So not
Okay,
letting out the air. Yeah?
but it's not holding the breath the whole entire time.
Yeah, it's a, like just a slow count and feeling what naturally happens in our
Okay.
body. Good question. Thank you. Let's try that one. So we'll count to 12 this time. Nice, gentle breath, just enough to count to 12. Ready? Breathe in. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10, 11, 12. Great. So I find that exercise is really, really useful with students who are using a lot of air and pushing a lot of air, and it helps them to understand, oh, singing is actually a lot more like speaking than we think. Good. So that's exercise number one. The a lot of these, actually all the exercises I put onto YouTube, and there's links from the book to YouTube for all of the exercises, and there's about 33 of them that I put into the book. Good. So the next exercise I want to talk about is called the evolution of breathing. And so this is one I developed from another one kind of from Alexander technique. And so what I want you to do is we're going to bend forward at the waist. Or if you're sitting down, you can do this sitting. And I want you to just breathe in and out and feel the breath across your back and into your side. So just breathe there. Breathing, good. And now let's do this singing happy birthday. Ready? So, oh, there's one more to admit there. Good. So we're gonna sing happy birthday in this position, just like the first two phrases. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Good. And now what we're gonna do is we're going to stand up and come off the chair a little bit. And we're going to be in this position. And we'll try and do it so you guys can see me. And we're going to come to this position. So we're kind of slowly evolving towards being human. Ready? So our knees are bent. We're hinging at the hips. We're not curving our backs like that. And I want you to just kind of sway in this position and go, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Keep going. And we're going to slowly evolve even more up towards being a human. Happy birthday, dear Ron. Happy birthday to you. Good. And what's fun is I add to that some kettlebells. So when you're in this position with students and getting them to go, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, keep going, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. And this really helps students to find the right muscles, I feel, for support and breathing. So that's another really great little exercise. And it's key not to get fully evolved into 21st century teenager mode with bad posture, but to kind of stay with your knees slightly bent and still kind of leaning a little bit forward at the hips as you sing. And so that you can really get into those muscles, and you get helps you to get into that posterior chain of muscles, and it helps to relax a little bit your abs at the front. So have fun with that one. The next exercise comes from, it's a bit of a belt slash finding your mix voice exercise. And this one I learned from Carrie Obert. And so what it is finding the vocal fry. Good. And hey, so we're gonna fry. Try that with me. Oh, but now we're gonna take it up a little bit, up into kind of like a constipated vocal fry, and it kind of sounds like Bill Clinton. And Carrie Obert did this. She goes, "I feel your pain." Yeah, so that's Bill Clinton and finding that. And then from there, what that does, what the fry does, is helps the body to engage. And it also, fry is the least amount of air going through your vocal folds. So it really helps you to find a nice belty place. Hey! So it's going from fry, or slack as we know it in Estel, fry into a cry kind of belt. Hey! So that's the first one. And then we go to O, and I'm just doing fifths. Oh! And the first part of the exercise is hey! Cool. So try this with me. Oh! Excellent. And then we'll go hey! Just a few more, and use that slack. Oh! Hey! Oh! The slack gets harder up higher. Hey! And one more. Oh! So that helps me to find a nice, lovely mix belt. So it's a bit more of an advanced exercise, but that's a great one. So the next exercise that I do a lot with students, another one of my favorites, is from the book, is called tongue yoga. And this one comes from Mary McDonald Klimek. And when I started using this exercise, it really helped my students who had weird little pitch problems. So they were singing in, basically singing in tune, but like they just have like little moments, or just like slightly flat in spots. And this exercise, for some reason, really works with them. So what we're gonna do is first find what Carrie Obert calls the Muttley laugh. So it's a cartoon character, and he laughs like this. And what that does is get your tongue really, really high. And what Arthur Lesac calls the Y buzz. And Arthur Lesac was a vocal coach back in the last century, in the 50s and 40s, with actors. And so getting that tongue up and finding the buzz up on the roof of your mouth. And you'll feel a vibration. And then the next part of the exercise is sticking out your tongue and saying, we're going to say this on E, and you're going to let your jaw move, and it goes like this. Yee, yee, yee. So you start with that buzz. Yee, yee, yee. Try that with me. And then what you do is you relax your cheeks, relax your and don't move your jaw, and you go yee, yee, yee. Good. And what this does, what Mary said, is that this is a foil exercise. So in our brain, in our neurons, muscles that fire together wire together. And so for a lot of people, their tongues, I think, get very lazy and just kind of start working with their jaw, completely with their jaw, and then moving with their jaw, and their tongues get lazy. And so what this does is separates the nerve that fires your tongue and the nerve that fires your jaw and separates them so that you have more control. Cool? So let's try it on ah or a. So we're going to stick out our tongues. Re, re, re. And then bring your fingers up. Don't move your jaw. Relax your cheeks. Yay, yay, yay. And still have that Y buzz. And now ah, ra, ra, ra. Good. And don't move your jaw. Relax your cheeks. Ya, ya, ya. And now O, ro, ro, ro. Yo, yo, yo. And oo, roo, roo, roo. You, you, you. Good. Let's do one more round of that. Yi, yi, yi. Yi, yi, yi. Re, re, re. Ye, ye, ye. Ra, ra, ra. Ya, ya, ya. Ro, ro, ro. Yo, yo, yo. Roo, roo, roo. You, you, you. Good. And now we're going to do it one more time and we're going to sing Mary Had a Little Lamb with our tongues out. Mary had a little lamb, little lamb, little lamb. Mary had a little lamb with little boy with wool. And now relax your cheeks. Don't let your jaw move. Mary had a little lamb, little lamb, little lamb. Mary had a little lamb whose fleece was white as snow. And now just sing it normally. Mary had a little lamb, little lamb, little lamb. Mary had a little lamb whose fleece was white as snow. Good. So that is the tongue yoga exercise, and try it out with your students, or if you are a student yourself, try it out because it's one of those brilliant exercises. Good. Um, Good. We have time. We're going to do a couple more exercises. This one I call the Adele because there's a bit of a story to it. I went to New York and had a lesson with Jeannie Levetri, and Jeannie Levetri is like a fancy New York voice teacher, and I asked her, "How would you teach me to be a tenor slash belter?" And so she gave me this exercise, and so I did this exercise, and then I went, "Oh, I don't know if I could ever get my students to do that." But then a couple of months later, I was watching the Adele special on CBC TV, and it showed a day in the life of Adele, and Adele was having a voice lesson with Jeannie Levetri, and they were doing this exercise because it looked really good for TV. So, what it is we're going to lift our chins just a little bit. And this one, what this exercise is really great for is finding a mix, and also finding a kind of a belt, a lovely mixy belt sound. So, lifting our chins, now we stick out our tongues, and what I've added to it is panting silently. So this is from Estelle, to kind of just feel the false folds opening up. And then also I've added recently to this exercise is some coup de glots from Manuel Garcia. And what's great about this is if you're doing them too low, you want them to get up into that pitch of the vocal tract. And then what the exercise is on the ugliest ah sound you could ever make. Ah. So it goes 1, 8, 5, 3, 1. Cool. And so the secret to this exercise is it's ugly and it's easy. Yeah, you want to make it feel easy here. And if you're not in thin, if I'm in thick, I can't do it. But if I'm in thin, it's a really great place. The ugly part is just making it really twangy. Ah. Good. Ah. And just take this up as comfortable. Ah. I can do this up to high C now. Ah. Ah. Try with me. Ah. Ah. And you can feel the shift. Ah. As it gets more thin. Ah. I would say that's the full thin there. Ah. Ah. B to B. Ah. And C to C. Ah. So that it has been a really wonderful exercise to help people find their belt or find kind of a belt adjacent sound that is very twangy with their larynx nice and high, their tongue is nice and high. So that's another great exercise. Then let's see. I think we have time for one more exercise. And this is an idea. It's called root tongue, and this comes from my work with Carrie Obert. And root tongue has been also an amazing way to find resonance in the voice. And it's a little controversial because for most people, it's we've all been trained that that when you take the sound too far, it's tongue tension. But I'm here to say maybe not. And there's not enough time to go into all of that. But what I want to do with you are an exercise that I do with my students a lot, which are messa de voces. So it's a crescendo and a decrescendo. But first of all, I guess I should teach you the sound. So what it is finding the Kermit the Frog sound. So one way to find it is go say oh and get your tongue really far back, and then your tongue goes up. Oh yeah. Why are there so many songs about reindeers? Rainbows. I always say reindeers for some reason. And so when your tongue goes back like that, obviously we don't want to sing like that, right? Because we'd all be Kermit the Frog. But what that does is when you start to engage that root, it adds resonance to the sound. And I'm going to show you what I mean. So on an NG, we're going to do this on an F. Just find a nice light, thin or mixed sound. And what we're going to do is we're going to add some root tongue. And this is Carrie's hand signal for it. I'm going to do it on an E so you can hear it better. E. A. Ah. Ah. And O. O. And oo. Ooh. So you can see by adding that root tongue, my sound gets louder, more resonant, more richer. That's actually a more operatic sound. But if I belt and go, hey, without root tongue, but if I add root tongue to the belt, hey, it gets much louder and much fuller. So I encourage you all to play around with root tongue. Good. So those are all the exercises I wanted to go over from the book today. But I also wanted to read you a quick little paragraph I wrote on vowel modifications and vowel modificating. So here goes. In a sense, my whole singing training has been one long course in learning to modify vowels. Our regional accents really have an effect on how we say our vowels. I think this is why it can be a controversial topic. Some teachers say never modify the vowel, and in a way, they are correct. Once you are saying a vowel correctly, nothing should physically change as you sing that vowel through your range. The only thing that changes is how your vocal folds come together. If you're doing it correctly, you will feel a shift as you go up in pitch, especially over an octave or an even bigger siren. When you do it incorrectly, you physically feel your larynx get tight. So that's another little bit from the book. And then I wanted to also show you. I feel like I'm like skipping all over with a whole bunch of topics, but I just kind of want to give you an overview of the book. So I also have a chapter on pop singing and style. And in that chapter, I talk about uh, a bunch of different qualities. So especially in pop singing, there's speech quality, which you can hear with Bob Dylan and Leonard Cohen. There's thin, which is Sam Smith sings in thin, and he breaks into breathy. Breathy sounds or falsetto sounds are used a lot, especially at the beginning of songs and at the ends as a way of offsetting the sound or offsetting a phrase. We got belt sounds, and I move it into like thicker belt, thin belt, and a stiff belt, which is what a lot of that really high screaming is in heavy metal. Growls that Beyonce and Lady Gaga do, vocal fry is a quality in a sense. When you think of Britney Spears, uh, oops, I did it again. She's always in fry all the time. And there's constricted kind of sounds that people like Pink do. And then root tongue, Shakira. Yeah, she uses a lot of root tongue in her songs. And then it goes into onsets, the different onsets you can have as a pop singer. So there's smooth, but there's breathy onset. Hey. And glottal onsets, vocal fry, growls, scooping into notes. And then there's also offsets, the vibrato fade, the breathy offset, falling off the note. Oh, hey! Bono does that a lot. Pushed or flipped releases. Ho, ho! Those little flipping in and out of the pitch. Gospel releases are a lot of fun that Stevie Wonder does. And then there's different types of phrasing. I go a little bit into that, and diction as well. And so I wanted to talk a bit about that, but also I have some chapters on belt diction rules that help people when they're belting. So that's in the book. And yeah, so at the end, the last couple of chapters are about how to practice because I feel as a teacher, I always forget to talk to my students about how to practice. And so that's a great little chapter. Also, students are always worried about their nerves. And so I have a lovely little chapter in there about that. And what should I do with my hands? A little bit on acting and is another chapter. And then the end is some stuff on vocal health and taking care of their voices. And so it's a lovely little resource for my students, and I hope it becomes a nice little resource maybe for your students. Good. That is a lot of talking. So before we get into how to order the book, I just wondered if anybody had any questions or questions and answer kind of period. Any questions that people have?
So, Ron, Elizabeth here. Just a quick question. I know you said you're going to have YouTube links for all the exercises. Do you also have links to that provide illustrations of different sounds and voices, as an example, that you just talked about?
Yes, I do. They're also on the YouTube channel. So in the YouTube channel, there is I have like a video where I have each vocal quality with a different singer, and I've kind of pasted them all together from YouTube videos. And so yes, that does exist. Good question. Thanks. Any other questions? Yay. Oh,
Uh,
Deanna.
this is so great because I have little bits of paper all over my studio from all the classes I've taken and Tom Burke and yeah, Kelly and all those things and from you. And it's like, oh, I could have it all in one book. Wouldn't that be great? And then I could find it.
Exactly.
So thank
Good.
you for doing
Yeah.
that. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff from Tom Burke in there too, like the diction rules
Yeah.
I've taken from and a bit on the posture. Yeah. So
Hey,
great. Yay.
excellent.
Thanks. Any other questions or okay. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna share another screen. Here we go. And ta-da, press play. There we go. So here it is, how to order. I'm going to drop into the chat a link so that you can order the ebook. It's a PDF that you download from my website. And just for today, it's $20. And after today, it'll be $25. If you actually want a hard copy, it's $30, and if you're going to come and pick it up here at the house, if I have to mail it, if we have to mail it, and Debbie's going to take care of that for me, it's $40 in Canada, and that helps to cover the postage and the envelope and stuff like that. And this is all in Canadian dollars. And if people want a hard copy mailed to them, um, that is going to be mailed. That's $50 because it's costs about I well it costs about $15 plus another envelope and stuff like that. So that is how much it costs. So if you want a physical hard copy of the book, please email info@singingwithron.com, and that's going to Debbie. And what you're going to do is send me either an e-transfer or or you can also pay by PayPal. And we've got a little system to keep track. So once you've paid me and given Debbie your email address or your mailing address, then we'll mail off a copy to you. So so that's all being done kind of old school and through just emailing. But the easiest way to get yourself a book today is by clicking on this link. So let me stop the share. Wow. Stop share. Oh, something's gone wrong. Oh, there we go. Ah, you're all still there. So let me find. Here's the link. Boom. So there's the link to buy the book. It's just in the chat if you want to buy it as an ebook. And here also is info@singingwithron.com. Did that work? Yes. And there's the email if you want to order yourself a physical copy of the book. Try that one more time. Oh, yeah. Good. Well, thank you. I'm going to end the recording.